Only 100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together. The Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast. What is up? We are back. This is the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local fear of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. And alongside me, like always, is Fred, and no Matt today. Matt is getting his family get together for Thanksgiving. He's kind of doing some pre-prep work, I think. So he's, either cleaning or working in the kitchen. I don't know what he's doing, but he's not here. So it's just going to be, you know what? We don't have a lot of Fred and Sanjay shows. I have a lot of Matt and Sanjay shows, but this is a rare one where
this is what the people want.
This is what they want. I love you, Matt, but this might be like we're low key. They're like, you know what? We want Sanjay and Fred. All right, so we are here. It's Victory Tuesday. I got to eat some crow because I picked us to lose. Shocker. It didn't look great on that Keenan Allen touchdown, but then something happened. Something happened we haven't seen in a long time. Since week 2, honestly, where we saw a comeback win, or a go-ahead score, I guess you could say, from our quarterback, Jordan Love, in the final minutes of the game. And it was quite the drive, actually. So I have to really eat some crow. I really have to, own up to this, I guess, stupidity of this thinking of that the Packers are trash, which they're not maybe trash, but they're not great, or they're not. I don't even know if we're even good yet, because I still don't know.
Okay. That's okay.
Right.
Like there. Like, that's all right.
I mean, what were you saying though, right? Last week, I listened a little bit to the show last week while I was gone, and a good loss, right? Where you show progress, you show some sort of a future hope, right? And then you still lose, so you can get that draft pick. Well, here we go and go and win the game, and now we're but. I don't know if we don't have the graphic, but the graphic that I saw today was in the hunt or in the bubble for the playoffs. Is the Packers potentially as the 7th seed behind? I know someone's gonna drink that Kool-Aid. You know it. Someone will. But Fred, you were at the game, so I'll just toss this to you. It was a nice moment for you and your kiddo. Share what was it like with the mind you, the gold package. Packer fans, we know we all hate them, but how was it?
Well, I can't say that I hate the gold package fans, because I spend a lot of time with the gold package fans. So,
no, you do.
I feel I don't want to ruffle.
I hate you.
Others of people.
There you go.
Great. I mean, cool. No, it was great, man. I mean, gosh, the weather was just perfection, right? It was mid-November, not too cold, not too warm. The vibe was good. People were feeling good. A lot of the relatively decent amount of Charger fans, all things considered, which is just strange. I still feel like 99% of them were people that bought the powder blue jerseys. Right. And they just wear it. Yeah. I think I pointed out to Ethan the whole time. I'm like, that jersey looks like it's 2 weeks old. I
would be very surprised if I saw people with a Tomlinson or a Gates,
none of that. None of that. A lot of Herbert, a lot of
right.
Other ones, but it was all in all, it was great. We were sitting on the side that didn't get the sun, and after a while, I was kind of I was kind of wanting the sun a little bit towards the end, just because it was gonna feel better. But no, man, I mean, it's just another one of those games. Again, there was some progress made on this team, offensively, defensively. I thought Jordan Love, kind of took the reins, took the realm a little bit, kind of showed who he could be. All receivers, I thought, played really well. considering, we came off of a week where one of them specifically did not play very well. But we're seeing we kind of talked about this, right? And I think we all knew this deep inside of our like Packer guts. Some of us have bigger than others, but we all kind of knew that like we would get to probably this point of the year.
Yeah.
And it's got to be like where we start to see the cream kind of rise, right? Like who's going to be an actual player on this team? Who's going to be a legitimate contributor to this offense, this defense? Because a lot of these guys are young. It takes a little time to get into it. They're not used to routine. They're not used to the full season. They're not used to just how things really get going. And I'm not making excuses, but I do think that there is a little bit that's to say like, hey, this is when we'll start going. And by no means am I going to drink any playoff Kool-Aid, but this is a team that's starting to kind of get a little footing right now. And I like to see that. And if they can kind of end this season with some talent or some talented wins, I think that's important. I will pump the brakes on these wins and these, progressive losses, if you will, because it is a weird Chargers team, right? That's all we have to step back from this Chargers team because we all love the Chargers, right? I don't care who you are. You love the Chargers. You love the jersey.
On paper, they're great.
I always have the most exciting team on paper. Everyone loves playing with Madden, right? You got all these exciting players. You've had these LaDainian Tomlinsons, the Gates, the Rivers, the Herberts, the Ecklers. I mean, these teams have always been super fun and interesting. I've always said my top 5 draft favorites every single year, like 2 or 3 of them always get drafted by the Chargers. And that doesn't say a lot about who I think are good drafters or draftees because they're not always great, but that being said, they're still not that good of a team, right? Staley's got a lot of issues. I don't think that this win is necessarily one that I'm like, oh, we really gutted it out against a tough team. But my dad would always say, and has always said, a win is a win. So here we are.
See, I do understand. This is how I felt about whatever that other win against the Rams, right? Played against a team that didn't have their starting quarterback. I did think, like, how do you measure these wins? Because if you go toe to toe with, a team that has their players, which again, this is the NFL, it's week 10, for last weekend, and you very rarely do you see teams fully healthy, right? At this point of the year. So yep. I get a lot of that are different, variables to an NFL game. So that's why I do think of it as, hey, look, you won a good game here in the sense of they still had guys like Joey Bosa and, and Khalil Mack. I know Joey got hurt, but that offense was still relatively fully healthy. I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe they had some offensive linemen that are gone. But I mean, for the most part, their pass catchers minus Mike Williams. I know Mike Williams is the big one. That was gone, but he was out of the year, for I think like the first 3 weeks. I think he went down. So, I do see it as I mean, yeah, they had a lot of drops. So that's the thing too, is like a lot of those key drops. Do you see that probably change the outcome of that game? Probably, honestly. I mean, obviously the very last one with the
Quentin Johnson was
downfield.
That was almost MVS bad.
Yeah. Well, then you got to see it the next night and you see the MVS. So it's like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what Twitter was like for him last night. But, I do see that there's positives, right? I mean, Jordan Love looked really good. I did think this was, again, maybe this is another game where we're saying this was probably his best game, where, he was commanding, the huddle and commanding the drive. Honestly, it wasn't just, a few good throws. There's like drives that he was commanding, and it felt good to see him march down the field, use his, receivers. But I want
very confident in the throws he made too, right? Like it was quick and it was immediate. It wasn't like 1, 2, 3 progression. It was like, I know where I'm going. He read and reacted really, really well on a lot of them, especially the touchdown plays specifically, of course. That's what we always focus on. But a lot of other ones, I mean, that was one thing I noticed because I feel like early on in the season, in the last couple of weeks specifically, you would see him drop back. He's getting time, right? So props to the offensive line for the most part. I think they're doing a pretty good job. But he would sit back there and kind of run through progressions. And I think he was always like a half a second to a second late on making the decision and then making the throw, which when we see has always been like underthrown. So, I mean, that was a big plus for me to watch.
And this is, I don't even know if this is a hot take right now, but like I was down on Jordan Love, and I really was, and I did think like, is do we need to start asking ourselves, is he the one? And I know they had that press conference with Brian Gutekunst and him talking about things about, we don't, we're going to have to further evaluate. We're not making any like, commitments or anything like that. I mean, he is only signed to a 2-year deal, so even they knew that they weren't fully invested, possibly, but these are the moments and these next 6 games or whatever it is that you hope to see. Now, this is a really big test on the road in a hostile best team, second best team in the NFC, by record probably. And, can you do anything with this? We'll talk about that game when we get to it, but like, these are the moments that you want to see what you can have out of him. And Sunday was really just a good thing to see from him. And I may have jumped the gun in the sense of, I didn't think that he was it. I still don't know if he is, but I do think I made the wrong, assumption on giving up on him too early, I guess. I want to see 5 more games, and I will fully invest myself in watching him and giving him like my, the time, because before I was just writing him off. I was just picking us to lose. I thought he was just like, meh. I'm like, you know what? Give us the best record so that we can potentially get ourselves in the running for a good quarterback. And then let's just get him some, competition for next offseason. I'm not saying you cut him. I'm saying I think he needs that, maybe that little bit of like, push from another guy, if it's a veteran or if it is someone that you draft. And maybe that's really what kind of can fuel him even more. Let's just say he takes a nice, stride this, the rest of these games. And then he's like, okay, look, we have a lot to like look forward to, but hey, we're going to draft someone and we're going to really push you to see if you're going to, really be the thing. Cause I mean, unless they really think Sean Clifford is going to be the guy that pushes him, I don't see that. I know for all the Sean Clifford people out there, maybe you want it to be him, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on Jordan Love?
I mean, he continues to make the moves, right? He continues to progress. I had pretty low expectations of him going into the season. I just wanted to see some of these things. I wanted to see confidence in the pocket. I wanted to see confidence in his throw decisions, in his read and reacts. I wanted to see him command offense. And regardless of wins and losses, I think we've seen a decent amount of that. I would say for sure the commanding of the offense, I think, has been there since kind of day one, right? I think I've never really watched him.
I would hope so after 4 years. I mean,
absolutely. Right. And that's a reasonable expectation. I just feel like watching him, it was like, since, week 1, it's like, okay, he definitely owns the offense. He definitely
is it hard though? But is it truly hard? Like, your only guy that you have to worry about as a vet is Aaron Jones. Like technically you're the same age as basically everybody. If Bakhtiari was in there, it would be a little bit different.
Right. But I would say it's more of his demeanor, his calmness, his never seems to kind of like frazzle, fumble about situations. When he does make mistakes, he comes off, he owns it, he goes back into it. I know we've talked about when those mistakes happen, it would be nice to have somebody that he could lean into a little bit more. But for that matter, I just feel like he's very confident in it. So I like seeing that. And all the other things that I've kind of mentioned, I think if we just can kind of keep seeing this little, and I don't expect 300 plus yard games every week, but just continue to see little glimpses here and there of things that are good. It feels like the receiving room mixed in with him is really kind of coming together. I thought a lot of the play calls this week were lots, more electric and more exciting. There was a lot more guys in space. I
agree with that.
Using the Jaden Reed on some of these end arounds. Dylan on the outside on that one kind of swing pass was really nice. It just seems like guys were moving and kind of in their spots and where they needed to be. And I think as the season goes on, right, like when you look at the mistakes this team has made early in the season, it's placement, it's stupid penalties, it's not executing routes, not executing play makes. Like that to me is all things that are easily fixable throughout the year. Right. If your guys are just crap and they can't get open and they kind of suck or whatever, that's a different ball game. So I think we're going to just continue to kind of see that grow and see him grow with it. And it's interesting because you talk about bringing in a veteran, right? And I agree with bringing in a veteran as a quarterback. I think that's a fair thing to do. I don't think anyone would be,
I was still confused why they thought that Sean Clifford was going to be their only, like,
I mean,
I'd
I'm
really like to
interested to
hear
see
from
how
you.
that goes. I mean, well, to be fair, right? I mean, Love is 4 years in, right? I mean, he's kind of a vet in a weird way in the quarterback room, locker room. But that being said, I'd like to see where they could maybe also bring in a vet just on the offensive side, right? I think offensive line, you could always look at somebody potentially, but
You need a
where
receiver.
I would, well, and okay, but do you really though? Like, let's just think about this. Let's say we continue to progress the rest of the season. I mean, this combo of Wicks, Reed, Dubs, and Watson is pretty freaking special. Like
Yeah, but
the
there
way
was times where we were keeping 7 guys. I mean, if you get one guy, you only have 4 right now.
right, and I'm saying you could easily go get a. I'm saying, do you need to like go break the bank for some veteran? I don't
No,
know if you have to go do something like that.
no.
I would actually be more interested in finding a legitimate veteran tight end, right? Because I don't think right now we're really where we want to be. I think there's some plus sides to Kraft. I think I've seen some things I like blocking wise. Musgrave obviously being injured. There's another guy that was sort of a tight end, sort of an H back.
Yeah, don't even say his name. He's not even on the field anymore. That
I
guy
didn't
got
say his name. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about that. I think it would just be nice for him. I mean, the problem is that we live in a world where it's like Kelsey or nobody. It's like, well, Kelsey is like a unicorn. It's not fair. But like, if we were able to go out and grab somebody that's maybe going on year 5, 6, 7, who's been in the league, I'm going to throw out names. These guys are not obviously available options, but some people, like those Irv Smiths are like,
I
those
literally
like
was
guys
thinking the
like that.
same name.
So that's just somebody that, like, I think that would just kind of give him an extra little blanket in the middle of the field and kind of be able to like do some extra stuff. But I don't know if receivers like an absolute, but I wouldn't be mad if they went and got somebody like on a 2-year deal for like, 16 mil or something. But that being said, I think that what we got to see against the Chargers was another stepping stone up. And it was fun to kind of see that on the offensive side. I think Dylan's continued to progress almost every week. I've been excited to see that as well. I think we'll get a pretty good understanding on this again. Short week again against Detroit. This is another huge challenge. And they're going to be coming off a crappy loss, so they're kind of in a mood, and I don't know. So I think that's going to be interesting. But defensively, what was your thoughts?
Who's coming off a
as
loss?
you watched Detroit? Not Detroit. Not a loss, but they played like crap.
Oh, right. Yeah, played poorly.
Sorry, I have like the two guys in my work that are Lions fans. They were walking around acting like they lost the game because Goff had a terrible game. So that's why my brain, I was like, oh yeah. But that being said, I mean, that's gonna be tough. But where are you at with the defense? What did you see on the defense that kind of stood out to you that you kind of liked in Sunday's W?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like much. I don't know if
That's fine.
I did like that we held Austin Eckler to less than I think it was even like, correct me if I'm wrong, Iowa Joe.
I mean, he was basically like
under 60, I think.
Yeah.
He was non-existent. I have him in like fantasy leagues, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" I thought he was gonna
he's 10 carries for 64 yards. So I mean, it was there, but he also had that long for 37. So like,
right. So
half of it was in one run.
Exactly. I'm okay with that. Like if that's the rush defense that you're gonna have against a really potent team, like offensive team, I'm cool with that. And then Justin Herbert, honestly, I mean, it's hard to say with these drops, but I didn't think he torched us. I did think, when we get into like our prevent defense, like, at the end of games, it's like you just let these guys drive, get that Keenan Allen touchdown. That's a little, disappointing to me. I've just kind of known to live with it with Joe Barry's defense. But Keenan Allen had a good day, which is kind of like, it's like a Devontae thing, right? Like, you're just going to have those guys that just get theirs. And, the fact that we were able to shut down Devontae that one night is still shocking to me. But, no Ja, no Razul, obviously still. So, and then, you're just going out there with rookies with Ballantyne and Valentine, and no Savage out in the back. You got Jonathan Owens and Rudy Ford out there. I mean, it was servicemen at best in that back end. And it's just like, the score was what it was. I mean, that's the weird thing about this like whole situation is that we hate Joe Barry so much, and with very good reason too. But then here we are, we're still letting, we're still not giving up more than 20 4 points a game or usually whatever it is. Like it's pretty nuts.
Such a big point. That's such a great point.
And
Nobody talks about it.
And I do think there's Carl Brooks. I really like, man. I think this guy is potentially a good player that could really, feast with Kenny Clark. I think Kenny Clark was the MVP of this game. He had one hell of a game. He probably had 2 or 3 holds that didn't get called. Had obviously the big bat down, to end the game. I mean, it's cool to see a guy like Kenny Clark who's been there since the beginning. And he's just been, he's not Aaron Donald, but at the same time, he's not like your average defensive end, defensive tackle, whatever they want to call him at this point. I think he's like right there. Like he's a tier below an Aaron Donald. Like, and honestly, since I haven't really heard a lot of Aaron Donald this year, I even argue that if he could get his sack numbers up, he would be in that upper tier, but he just doesn't get a lot of sacks, and that's fine. In a 3-4 defense, it's kind of hard to do that. But, I do think he was probably it's nice to see Campbell and Quay back. I think that's a really underrated combo that you need to have on a weekly basis. When one of them's gone, you do see it. I know Campbell got hurt in the game, so hopefully he is okay. But oh, and yeah, Ballantyne isn't a rookie. Sorry. Thank you, I have Joe. A little late on getting in here. Thank you. I do think
you show up, Joe.
He does work, so I do think there is an element to there's an element to it. But yeah, I think the defense is. Do we get Ja back? I don't know. What's he at on the injury report? We had like 18 guys on the injury report, so I have no idea who's going to suit up this Thursday. But the Ja thing to me, I know Matt had kind of mentioned this to us in our text. It's an interesting injury because is he like hurt or is he like angry / giving up on guy got paid this year, so it's like it's not like he's not going to be around for a while, but he didn't get traded, which that was kind of a low-key secret trade that I thought maybe could happen, that some team would give us a high priority pick or something that that would be the thing that pushed him over the edge, and then it's a good contract kind of thing. But we didn't do that. We kept him, and yet here we are that he plays 1 week and he goes off and gets injured again. I get it. It's the NFL. People get hurt, but I do think his attitude's been a little bit different. I feel like I kind of am confused on what his mindset is right now with the Packers. But again, what do I know? Your thoughts? Anything that you liked out of the defense?
I mean, I feel like Josh is kind of that guy, right? I think he's super emotional, wears his heart on his sleeve kind of guy. I mean, that's what makes him great. That's what makes him terrible and great at the same time. I think he's got a shoulder injury. I think that's a pretty decent thing to have to deal with as a corner. There's severities of shoulder injuries, man.
I mean, I've been out there. I'm out there. What?
Well, yeah, I mean, you would, because you're top tier athlete.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll agree with almost everything you said, man. I think Kenny Clark has just been super underrated. He always is underrated, because he doesn't have crazy sack numbers, but the amount of attention he gets from offensive lines because of his abilities is pretty impressive. I will also shout out Jonathan Owens. That's 2 weeks in a row. He's led the team in tackles. I don't care.
Yeah, but he also led the team in big passes and touchdowns. So
I know, but he's still making tackles. So I mean, maybe he wouldn't have to if we actually had corners playing and stuff like that. But but I just think that's a relatively impressive
good for him.
That's I'm trying to find some silver lining here, pal.
We won. We won the game.
Yeah. Valentine a lot. I mean, there's a lot of injuries things going on there. I mean, but yeah, I would say Campbell Quay for sure. I think that is an electric combo. I like seeing them backing out. Van Ness, I feel like I wanted to watch him a little bit more than I wanted to watch. I said I was going to watch him, and then I just got too into it, and I wasn't paying attention enough to him.
Yeah, I really wanted dynamic.
I wanted to dive into him and really see what's like. I feel like when I start watching like Quay, and I start watching I get all over the board because I like a lot of these guys in this defense, and I always forget to watch the dude because I just feel like I don't know if like I subconsciously see him and I'm like, oh, it's just Clay Matthews. But like, I don't know what it is in my brain. I know it sounds stupid because I know it's not him, but like,
No.
I don't know. There's something about it. But
Do you think it's
he just
harder to
kind of,
watch the game as a fan there or as at home? How do
oh,
you?
100% at the game.
I'm saying, like, sorry, like, is it hard for you to analyze and put your
Yeah.
podcast, Fred, at a game?
So hard.
Yeah, I agree.
So well, you got the sounds, you got the
You're my,
fans,
you're like
the
a squirrel.
people, like
You're like everywhere.
yeah, like
Oh,
it's like the whole time, and it's really hard to focus. And plus, you don't get to see like the 14 replays from 8 different angles and slow motion immediately up close in your big screen TV. Like it's just you don't get to see all that goodness. But I mean, I would just say that I feel like he's done pretty well for the amount of snaps that he's getting. Thank you, Iowa Joy. I figured you'd have that one ready and raring to rock today.
Yeah.
But I feel like from what I see a decent player, and I see someone that, you know, by no means looks like a huge project like I thought he was going to be. I think he's still a project, no questions. I think any rookie's a project. But I had this thought process that he was going to be like well, in like 3-4 years, maybe he'll be good, you know, and I don't think that's the case. I think if we get him going, I think next year especially,
Well, he's on the
he could
Gary
probably be there.
route, right? Like it's
Right.
basically putting him in the Gary, journey. Like just do what you can, make use of the snaps that you get, and then let your other 2 guys eat, and then when the time is right, and if we move on from Preston this year, or hell, just if we keep both, obviously we're keeping Gary, we just signed him, but if Preston stays, then it's like, hey, just next year we're going to ramp those up and really take it.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Preston stayed. I think it definitely will be a Van Ness Gary show, and that I think that could be really fun and electric to have guys that are that young and that ability, able to do that. But yeah, I mean, defensively, I mean, I think it was what it was. I think considering who we played and their talent, I don't think it was bad. I still think that the most underrated thing about this defense is the fact that outside of that first Lions game, I don't think we've given up more than 25 points.
Right.
In a league that is high flying and high scoring on a pretty much a regular basis. So that to me is impressive in its own right. But yeah, I mean, we'll see this week. I think this is going to be a pretty big test of who we are. And I wonder too, do you think Ja sat out for this game?
Oh, hey,
I didn't think about that till right now, and I was just thinking
it's like an AFC opponent. Maybe if we win, cool. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. And now
he wants to take down Detroit. That's a little bit more personal. That seems like, and then didn't Amron say he doesn't know anybody on the defense? Wasn't he quoted as saying that today?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. People would.
I
hope he does, and then he just,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe maybe he's got, maybe, and I don't know if I like that about players being like, I'm not gonna play this week, I'm gonna play next week. But if it was like hey, I'm 80%.
But they do it in the NBA too. Like when it's like on a back-to-back like that, like I would consider this like a back-to-back, right? You have a Sunday, Thursday, so it's like
that's okay. But no way, dude. Basketball 86 games. It's every night.
Like, if you think you could have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to kind of rest up a little bit more for a bigger game, a bigger moment in the Lions, I'm okay with that. Seeing that the Chargers game really wasn't a necessary game. Again, are we still playing for playoff hopes here? I think so, because we're not jokers, like the Colts or something. Like we're actually like, we have pride, in our team. So I think, we want to win. But so yeah, you're right though. I do see what you're saying. Like you don't like that, people take off and things, but I don't. It's not like you see that from a quarterback, right? Like you're not seeing that
if he's at 80% and it was one of those things where it was like, okay, I could go out and play, or I take this week off and I can get to 100%, regardless of who we play. Now, obviously, the Lions, it makes it a little bit more enticing, of course, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I agree with Joe on this point too. I mean, I don't think it's Ja's decision necessarily.
Oh no.
That's what I'm saying. I think if he was in there with the doctors and they're saying he's here, he could be there. If he does play, he's going to stay at 80. If he doesn't play, he could go to 100. Blah 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 blah. Yada yada yada.
Well, one guy that I mean, we didn't talk about this, but Aaron Jones going down. That was quite the. It's like, I know it's like, the one guy in the movies that you're like, oh man, we don't want him to get hurt because he's like the heart and soul of the team, and like, which he is, I feel like. And I do think that was a pretty big blow, especially now that you're literally just going with AJ Dillon, and we've seen the bad of Dillon, and we've seen the
it's been more
moderately
good,
better. Yeah,
but
and
it's not great. It's not number one running back great.
Yeah, can he like manage the load on Thursday night? That will be the thing that will be in question. I do think it might be like a 40-50, like, tossing kind of game for Jordan Love. I think we're going to be passing a lot. I think we're always going to be down. So I do think maybe AJ Dillon's more featured in the pass game, which is maybe a cause for concern. But hey, shout out Patrick Taylor for coming back. And James Robinson also added to the practice squad. So we'll see what band of brothers that they have in the running back room for Thursday night.
I think that's where you gotta MLF's got to do something, right? You got to be a little creative. That's where you use Jaden Reed, you use Watson on those end arounds potentially.
Maybe we could call for Leonard Fournette. Adrian Peterson, something.
Adrian Peterson.
Hey, he's making his way around the NFC North.
Lenny Fournette just signed with somebody, didn't he?
I think he was like with the Buffalo Bills. Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah, but I don't think he actually made the team. I thought he just went there to like kind of like what James Cook or
his hamstring was like popping out of the shorts, dude.
Yeah, bro.
He looked ready to go.
Yeah,
but do you want Lenny and Dillon? Aren't we just
no? It seems like that'd be kind of close to the same guy, but at the same time, I think I actually trust playoff Lenny than I do AJ Dillon. I've seen Leonard Fournette actually eat. I have not seen AJ Dillon eat since that Titans game, like 4 years ago. I really haven't seen anything from him, honestly. I've seen like maybe 2 plays a game, possibly, and that's being generous. Let's talk about. Oh, go ahead.
Go for it. No, there you go.
Real big quick shout out to Jaden Reed, man. Like this guy, is special. And now that we're seeing a chest injury, like that's not great. Like, why is it always our favorite players that getting hurt? But Jaden Reed, honestly, if I'm
electric,
Matt LaFleur, I'm focusing in some way, shape, or form. You just have to kind of use him and figure him out as some sort of Tyreek Hill, where you're trying to draw plays that just get him open. And if Dobbs and Watson are open in as options B and C, then cool, because we thought it could be Dobbs. Doesn't seem like that connection really gets used as well as it should. And then Watson, we've tried it. The guy just can't catch a ball or, can't track a ball. So at this point, keep it short and keep it with the reverses, or keep it with just, intermediate routes. And this guy just makes plays. So I would, like you said, Nick, just get him the ball as much as possible, because he is the guy that right now is the catalyst for this offense. While, Aaron Jones hasn't been the same since he came back, and now he's hurt again anyway. But it's really just been Jaden Reed that's been really consistent, and that's awesome to see from a rookie, mind you. I know there's a lot of pictures out there, little tags, little comparisons of Jackson Smith and Jigba that we didn't take in the first round, and he's actually doing, if not better, definitely equal to the same stats as what he is doing, and obviously we got him in the second round. So I do think there is an element to him in this offense that I think could scare the defense of the Lions. Not a lot, but I'm just saying, like, it could be an element that they're definitely probably getting ready for.
Yeah, he's super electric, man. I mean, the way of the NFL today, right, is it's a game of quick, get the ball into playmakers' hands, let them get crazy yak, right? It is what it is. You're still seeing like bombs on the sideline, you're still seeing classic, whatever. But for the most part, it feels like it's getting this ball to these guys over the middle in the backfield, swinging out and letting them just do their thing and letting them pick up, most of the yards. It's Jordan Love throwing the ball 5 yards, let him run 50 yards. So I do like him a lot. I think he's incredible. Super fun to watch. We haven't had someone like that for a very long time. With Dubs, I feel like, he catches the ball so beautifully. I mean, his catches are just always so textbook. Even his touchdown grab, how he reached over, grabbed it, and like yanked. It was so gorgeous. It was such a if you're a receiver, watch how he catches the ball, because it makes a difference. That being said,
like an aggressive catch to him, and I like
it's
that.
Just it's so good. It's what I wish Christian Watson would do. But anyway, but so he to me is like just a really good possession-y guy, right? Like, I think he could
He
be
could be like a Keenan Allen, eh?
sure. I mean, I compare him to like just a good possession guy. I don't think he's ever going to be that guy that catches a slant and runs for 80. I think he's the kind of guy that he's going to make these incredible
I hope
back
he proves me
shoulder.
wrong this Thursday. 80
I have
yards slant
100%.
right now.
100%. No, I would love it. I just feel like he, to me, reminds me of like a James Jones, right? Like just a good, solid
Yeah.
possession guy who's not really going to break too many. He could if he needed to, but for the most part, he's going to hug the sidelines. He's going to grab those red zone TDs. You know, Jaden Reed is just an absolute electric. Christian Watson is, you know, I don't know, whatever. I can't figure it out. I don't know. Like even his touchdown.
He is enigma wrapped in a
Yeah,
blanket.
even
You
his
know,
touchdown
honestly.
was like nothing special. Like the route was literally like a deep drag that he just ran to the corner. There was no like impressive feature about how he did it outside of the fact that he's just fast. But it was a great ball and he caught it, thank God. But you know, there is like these different types of receivers on this offense, which is why I like it a lot. But yeah, I think Reed, man, like he could be something really special for us. We just need to make sure that we keep him healthy and upright. Otherwise, I could see that being an issue because he's kind of undersized.
Yeah, and I do worry he goes for a lot of big time balls, and you hope
Yeah.
that he can obviously he can come down with it. But like, you know, Amon Ra is kind of like another guy to see like as a comp to him, like where it's same kind
Yeah.
of build, same kind of
Yep.
like I do think if they could just mimic what they're seeing out of Amon Ra and Ben Johnson's offense, I do think there's a lot of ways that he could flourish, and he doesn't need to be just like this downfield threat, which is not what we want from him. But or maybe that's what they want from him because he's the only guy that can actually track a ball and catch it properly. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I do think Jordan
Got a
Love, I
little
think
Debo, like 2 year ago Debo, you know, like how he could
yeah,
do some interesting things.
yeah.
He's not built as big, but I do think that, you know, now that you've kind of seen it, like that's where, you know, I want to see MLF be a little bit more creative in how we use them, right? Because now teams are going to be anticipating it. So you're going to have to be a little bit more than like, wow, we're just going to run these ones, these three
So
to four plays.
I heard so two different sources. I thought I heard him that he said that it was Butkus or not Butkus. If it was the other guy that maybe drew up that play for that last touchdown, um, for Christian Watson, I think, or
Yeah.
was it Matt LaFleur that drew it up? Because no matter what, whoever did, like, we just need more drawing up plays. I think there's sometimes you just need to maybe somehow play, and then maybe that's a lot of what Aaron Rodgers was doing. And I think we just needed to mix more of the system with Aaron Rodgers' play because I felt like if you can marry both of those really well, you can really, you know, have a good game plan against a team. I just think there's a happy balance because I know LaFleur seems to be that guy that's so like, you know, strict with his like, you know, play calling. Like I do think he thinks that his stuff will work, and sometimes it just doesn't. I mean, we've seen it, you know, for multiple weeks now, and also, in all honesty, a couple years where it seems like, hey, sometimes the stuff that we just have isn't working. You have to adjust, right? And that's what we've always been saying was a problem for Mike McCarthy, and now we've said for Matt LaFleur, it's like we can never just get 4 full quarters of good football. It's always got to be like, oh, we got to, you know, there's always adjustments made in game, but it almost feels like we always have two different teams. The team that plays for like the first half or first quarter, and then this other team that comes out, you know, in the second half and the, you know, fourth quarter, whatever it might be. I just wish there was a way that Matt LaFleur could really, you know, hone in on his play calling, because I do think that's one thing that will kind of, you know, make or break Jordan Love, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. And I think you got to, like you said, you have to have a little bit of that. I think a lot of these new younger coaches are kind of analytical driven. They're kind of, you know, they're kind of set in like how they think games are and how things are. But you can't lose the element of football, right? You can't lose the element of what's going on the field and just genuine football play, right? Like these guys aren't robots. There are some, you know, there's life to these guys as much as we want to act like they are robots. They're not. And I think we've seen that just in general, right? Like Kansas City is a perfect example of that, right? Andy Reid is a fantastic play caller. But sometimes when it's Patty Mahomes or it's even him coming up with a play on the sideline, they've shown to be successful. We saw that earlier in the year with Tua and McDaniel, right? Where Tua kind of called up off something else and he ran it. And McDaniel was like, yeah, if he's going to do that, that's fantastic. I think you have to be able to have that. if you think you're just going to run straight playbook, I don't know if it's going to work. So I'm not saying you got to go complete, Rodgers and Dallas and, draw one in the dirt necessarily. But I think there has to be a little bit of like, hey, we're noticing this. We're seeing this. This guy's not here. He should be there. Let's run this. But there's obviously an area here. Like, so you have to have that. If you go into a game and you're like, it's these 100 plays and that's it, you're going to fail.
And I do think this is that element of that backup QB of it being a vet that's seen different things where, I hope Jordan Love has input too, where he's like, hey, look, this is what I'm also seeing out there. I'm assuming they do. It's the NFL. But that veteran quarterback, I don't know what Sean Clifford is bringing to the table. Obviously, I'm sure he's doing something. It's not like he's doing absolutely nothing, but like, I just think there's a different, version of a veteran quarterback, or sorry, the backup quarterback that's a vet that has seen a lot, that he can be like, look, I'm seeing this same trend every time we run this sort of like, when we are in this personnel, hey, maybe try this or look this other way, like maybe hit him this way. I think there's just that element, right?
Yeah.
And when they're on the, when they're on the bench and they're talking like, hey, that's an element that maybe we're missing right now. And that's kind of where I thought kind of could have been maybe a different outcome for the season if maybe there was just a different voice to Jordan Love on a play or even series by series basis. But who knows? Maybe next year we'll have it a little bit different.
Yeah. All right, let's get into
Lions
Thursday. Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Just such bullcrap because we got a short week. And we got all these injuries again. It's like not a fair litmus test of where a team is. I feel like I feel like we're good. Like by all accounts, we should lose this game if you just look at who they are, injuries, all that kind of stuff. Short week again, and it's like, damn it, I would have loved to seen a healthy team coming off this win go against the Lions on a short week and see who we are. Sorry, that was my just quick rant.
No, you're right. I do think it does suck to have this. It seems like always on our Thursday nights, it's always screwing us. But it is for all you bettors out there, it's an 8-point Vegas, 8-point, whatever you want to call it, favorites for the Lions. And I do think this is a game where that's like, do the Packers feel outmatched based on the injuries that they have, right? Do they have, enough players on the field that they can even like, put up a good game plan? But then it's like, you look at the Chargers and they have, if not probably better skill players than than the Lions. In my opinion, I do think Justin Herbert's better than Jared Goff, but right now Jared Goff is technically having a better season than, Justin Herbert. But, there's a lot of different similarities to these teams that like, I thought technically we should have got bamboozled by, LA. Yet here we were just, I know that team's a shell of themselves and I know they have a lot of different internal problems, but the Lions, I do think, they pose a different thing to Matt LaFleur, because I just feel like Dan Campbell, and it's weird that I'm saying this, just out coaches Matt LaFleur.
Oh, 100%.
I just feel like, or maybe it's Ben Johnson, maybe it's, whatever. I mean, everybody basically out coaches Joe Barry. Let's just be honest with that. But I do think there's just this element to Matt LaFleur that I'm still a little concerned about, that the guy across the field from him just always seems to be a hair better, maybe even more than a hair better than that guy. And it just feels like it's always Matt LaFleur feeling like he needs to like, one up, or always feel like he's always, an uphill battle unless he's playing Sean McVay, So that is my one concern with Matt LaFleur. I mean, actually there's many concerns, but that's a big one to me that I do feel like I seem to like see it consistently from him. And I don't know if it's going to be kind of just a thing with him. And maybe this is the best that maybe his ceiling's already been hit as a coach. And is that like, are you in that kind of realm, or do you think there's more to Matt LaFleur than you think?
I don't know. I mean, I sure as hell hope his ceiling hasn't hit, but I mean,
I hope so too.
I guess, I mean, I want to see how he finishes this year, right? I think we've gotten to see a little, like, this is a good test of who he really is all year. We've gotten to see a little bit about, right? Because the honeymoon's over. You're not 13-3. You're not 13-3. You're not 13-3. You don't have the Hall of Fame quarterback to lean back on. You've had a couple bad losses. You've had a lot of bad penalties, a lot of rookie mistakes, a lot of damning things on your coaching resume for this year. How do you finish the year, right? How do you rally your troops? How do you get like if we see the rest of these games, dramatically less penalties, dramatically less mistakes, but just get outplayed by another team, I'm okay. I'm completely okay with that because realistically, I do think most teams are better skillfully. To lose games because of penalties and mistakes, that has nothing. That's coaching to me. That's a lot of coaching.
Sure.
So it's, this game, especially, like, you're going to go into it on a short week against an interdivisional team, a team that's going to want to kick your ass. You got a lot of injuries. You got to really somehow overcome that. And you got to be able to rally the guys that you have who maybe haven't gotten a lot of snaps. You got to get them down. You can't let them get too high up and too crazy so that they're jumping off sides, or they're committing stupid penalties or doing things like that. So this is for me, this game specifically will be a dramatic testing of who Matt LaFleur is. But if I see him have a good game and we lose, but it's, disciplined, and the rest of the weeks are disciplined and whatever, then I say, no, I think let's see where we go next year and we can kind of continue. But I do see where you're coming from a little bit, but I don't know if it's fair because we still have to see what full year with him in Love.
The thing that was concerning to me was a few weeks ago when we didn't have Aaron Jones, and he was like, I didn't really think we were going to have, we were not going to be without Aaron Jones. So we didn't really have a great game plan. That to me just seems moronic. Like,
that's bizarre.
Like I get, like, you've never had, like, this is what your whole life has been with Aaron Jones, that you never know when this guy's available. And this 1 week you were just kind of like, well, we didn't really know if, it kind of threw us off guard when he was not going to be available to play. Like, what? Like, that to me was just,
you're the head coach. You should know every single facet of your team at all times.
It ties along with the same thing from years ago with Rodgers, where it's like, we didn't have enough juice. We weren't ready for the NFC Championship game. We weren't ready for the Chargers at home or Chargers on the road. Like, none of that never really like sat well with me as a head coach.
No.
And that's why I give Dan Campbell all this credit in the world, was that this guy, no matter what, wakes up in the morning, he knows he can jack up this team to get ready for football. That's basically like what he does. And, for Matt LaFleur, it seems like it's always just like, are you want to be this player's coach, but it doesn't even seem like it doesn't even seem like what to do with the players.
Yeah. I don't think the players really. And I, Gebert, like, this is the thing, is I'm not saying a wait and see. Like, I'm just saying we're not going to fire him. Right. So, like, it is kind of, well, like, we're not going to fire him right now. So it is kind of like, it is a wait and see. It's not really our choice, but I'm going to need to see a lot more in a very short amount of time from him. And that being discipline and understanding, game plan, coaching, all the things that you need to do. Because as of right now, I'm not by any means impressed by him as a head coach, and I'm struggling with him.
Is he on the same leash as Jordan Love? Are they paired together where they would both be dismissed together?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, who do you think is on the leash?
Love.
So then you're just saying, okay, well, Love only got a 2-year contract, so he only has next year to play. So
I only say Love just because I don't know if I feel like, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe, I guess it depends on where Goot's relationship is with them. You know what I mean? Like, is Goot more willing to? Goot,
JV Love, he also hired Matt LaFleur. So
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. So I agree with that. They're both connected to him, but I guess I would maybe retract that and say Jordan Love, just because I think it's a lot easier for teams to just plug and play quarterbacks than it is for coaches, and maybe that's just different because I would say that, like, the Bears would not agree with that, and the Lions for the last 40 years would not agree with that, but I just feel like maybe that would be something. I don't know, man. That's a great question, because you could almost say package them, right? Because LaFleur sucks, Love sucks. That's bringing a whole new regime. I get it.
Right. Well, to me, this is the only reason, and again, don't take this the wrong way, Packer fans, but I do think the one thing that always holds us back as this publicly owned freaking team is that an owner cannot come and just say, look, I'm done with the bullshit. Because right now, Brian Gutekunst really has what, like an unlimited leash? Because technically, Mark Murphy is already looking at retirement and gonna go sip on a mojito like on an island somewhere at some point. Like that's like 2 years from now. So I don't even know what really this like. I know they were talking about that pyramid of like, okay, it's Murphy and Mike McCarthy and Brian Gutekunst, and then that got obviously he left, and now it's Matt LaFleur in there. So I really don't know what happens in this situation. If like, what do you have, like 4 bad years with LaFleur, and then you're like, oh, I think we can consider it, and then we don't do it for another 2 years, and then we're just been 6 years of shit. So that's where I hope they make these decisions quicker than than the past they did. Like, because Mike McCarthy, I felt like it was a good 4 years where we probably were 4 years too long, maybe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but I felt like that might have been the case. But anyway, Lions game.
I would say this really quickly about that is McCarthy had a Super Bowl win. Like,
I know.
That extends a lot of leash.
10 years.
He's got a fucking Super Bowl win, and he got a street named after him. I mean, LaFleur ain't got none of that.
Hey, Coach Bud had a championship, and he got canned 2 years later. So I mean, hey, nothing's always certain in this world. So Fred, we have this game on Thursday night, and Murphy bought a golf course. Where? I kind of want to play
the golf course when he first came over to Green Bay, the one that was like gonna die out. I forget what it's called. I'll look it up quick.
Yeah, Iowa Joe, line this up, my friend. So I will real quick give this. Like I said, I don't know what kind of team is going to be available to the Packers come Thursday night. So it's really hard. This is the one thing that's tough about giving predictions, because you never know what route. I mean, if we have Ja, I actually kind of think he could do well against Amon-Ra, but I'd also maybe Iowa Joe. Let me know if he played in the first matchup against the Lions at home. I can't remember if he did or not, but I do think there is a possibility we could win this game. It's a very small possibility, but what are your thoughts?
That's strange to hear you say that. He bought Maxwellton Braes Golf Course in Door County, so that they wouldn't turn it into condos. So I mean, he's like
Brazelton. Okay.
Maxwellton Braes Golf Course. Anyway, I mean, basically, like, he's a hero without a cape, because if you're buying golf courses to keep golf courses,
I'm firing Iowa Joe, by the way.
Yeah, Joe, you're out of here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we were fully healthy going into this game, I would maybe feel like we have an opportunity to maybe shock some situations. I feel like we're just riddled right now with injuries. And that scares me. If Reed's not playing and Jones isn't playing, and we've got Ja not playing, and we've got all these injuries, I mean, I'm going to struggle hard to be like, yeah, we should definitely pull this one out. That being said, I don't think there's anything to say that we couldn't do the same thing we did against the Chargers with the Lions. I mean, I think I predicted 21-20, and it was pretty damn close to something like that. And I think that's kind of, as well, shout out to myself. But yeah, I mean, could the Lions, fumble the situation? Could we just do enough? Could we have a Thanksgiving, miracle potentially? Our defense, all things considered, is still only letting up 20-some points. I mean,
I know.
The one game we didn't was against Detroit earlier in the season when they were really hot. I don't think they're as hot as they are right now. So yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with a dub. I think we're gonna have a Thanksgiving moment here, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna say we win 28-24.
Again, where are you seeing these points? 28?
Dude, we scored 23 last week, dude.
That's 23. That's not 28. When's the last time we scored 28?
I think we scored 28. And I'll tell you this, and this is what else I'm going to say. We're going to score 28 points. And if he's not hurt, is Keshawn Nixon hurt?
I know he was banged up. I don't know. I mean, is he on the injury report? Because he probably is too.
If Nixon's not hurt, he will return a kick on Thanksgiving.
The guy. That's a bold take.
They don't like kick returns. Like you get 5 kick returns for 10 yards, and you bust one. That's how all kick returners are. Duh.
All right, I have us losing this game,
bro.
I don't even think this is going to be close. If you're telling me all these guys are going to be gone potentially, like most of all these guys are going to be gone, I don't give us a chance in hell that we win this game on the road in Detroit after they just got embarrassed by Chicago, that they had to like grind out a win to come back and beat them. They're probably very angry.
Chicago Bears almost beat the Detroit Lions.
Again, do you think Jared Goff is going to have 3 turnovers in a game against us? A team that can't keep our hands on the ball yet, let alone like get, you know.
Kenny Clark's going to pick it off 3 times at the line.
35-10. I have us losing.
Oh my God. It's not even creative, dude.
It's not, what do you mean it's not creative? It's perfectly creative. This team has destroyed us in the last like 3 games that we've played them. It's not even, look at all the scores that are coming out. Even Andrew is throwing at a 28. I mean, he said you're winning, but still.
Okay, first of all, Gabbard said we won 28-25. You forgot the last part. Jordan hates the Packers. I worked with him. He's just a hater. Yeah, look at that. See, I mean, come on. Let's look at the comments, pal.
Look, I'm still a great Packers fan. I'm realistic. There's no way that we are winning this game. If those guys are out, if they're in, fine. You know what? I'll say
I'm not playing that game.
24-17.
No. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do if it's sunny out versus if it's cloudy out. Like, no, dude, you watch your score. Live with it. What'd you say? 35-10? You disgusting.
35-10.
Get a job.
Believe me, I would not like to see those scores in my lifetime.
Listen. Here's what's going to happen. Everyone watching and Sanjay.
Hey, if you're betting,
what's going to happen. Packers are going to win on Thursday. And Jordan Love is going to eat a big-ass turducken leg for John Madden, okay? John Madden is going to make the Packers win because that's how it goes.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's right. Realistic.
No,
thank you.
Stop drinking and coming on the show, Jordan. 35-10, I'll be back. Come on, get out of here. You guys are ridiculous.
See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Look, people are the fans have spoken. The only person that's delusional is you and Andrew. That's it. Bears fan here. Starters active 24-20 pack. What?
He's saying if all starters are active, we win 24-20. If we're not active, we lose 20.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too.
No, it's not. You said 35-10. That's like that's a big gap.
And this is why I kind of want to keep this guy here for a decade, because I'm also a ham guy. Turkey's overrated. Think it sucks. I actually think for all of you people out there, what's your favorite food for Thanksgiving? Real quick, we have 3 minutes. Quick. Throw out your favorite Thanksgiving meal. Top 3. Top 3. God dang.
Top 3 favorite dishes for Thanksgiving.
I got ham, cornbread, and the casserole, green bean casserole.
Okay, pretty solid. So I think it's interesting because I feel like all of my family, like between Amanda's family and my mom's family, like they all have different things, right? Some of them are like super like create like different, but I would have to say, the mashed taters and gravy, right? Like that's just a classic thing. You can't get wrong with it. I like me some green bean casserole. And no pie. You don't like a pie? You're not gonna put a pie in there?
No. And then rolls? Who just bread? Like bread? Come on, Nick. That's not.
Nick, do you not get food during the week? That's what I'm gonna send Nick a loaf of bread tomorrow.
I will say underrated. Shout out like
the next day. Sammy's.
Honorable mention would be the mashed potatoes. No, I don't eat pies. I don't like pies.
I'm not a pie guy, but I will say that. I think the ultimate thing is that next day you get a roll, you put some turkey, some mashed potatoes, some gravy, some stuff, and you just eat like a big old sandwich out of it. That's the best. Nobody likes canned cranberry. You're not a big that's about as ghetto as you can get, buddy. Come on now.
Right. See, again, with these rolls, what is with everybody that rolls? Do people not ever eat bread?
But when you're like hungry on Thanksgiving, like a good warm
It
roll
is good with like mashed potatoes and gravy. You kind of mix it together. Yeah, I get that. But that
here's
also
your
sounds
problem.
like diabetes.
You get so mad about shit, and then you all of a sudden are like, oh, actually, like you got all hot and bothered about the Packer
People
game.
are
Now
putting
you're
in
like,
their top three. People are putting in their top three. They're not saying, let me put my bun mixing it with these other items. They're just saying rolls. Okay. That's what they're saying. As if they're like, just when you start out, like you're the guy that wants to go up in line. You're like, I got to grab my bun first. Right. And then I'm going to eat my bun while I'm kind of waiting for everybody to help themselves. That's what I kind of envision when people are putting rolls as their top three.
who do you know that's siphoning buns before the food goes down?
Okay, hear me out.
Like besides like your drunk uncle,
goes napkin, silverware, plates, and then it starts the start of the line is the rolls, right? You go rolls, mashed potatoes.
That's the case. It could go anywhere.
Well, I'm just saying, typically, isn't that usually the starting lineup? Like it kind of left to right.
You have ham. You don't have turkey. Typically, Thanksgiving is turkey. You ham.
I mean,
we're gonna get all angry here.
It's okay. Hey, you know what? I do think like there's an aspect to rolls that makes sense. I just don't know how it scratches the surface of top three. That's just.
I mean, I'll give you that one. I will say this before you go into that talk about whatever. Super thankful for this show. Super thankful for all the people that listen. I know a lot of you guys are in here all the time, and I think that's super cool. Super thankful for our wives who put up with this crap. I know there's a lot of Tuesday nights that my wife would probably just rather me hang out with her, but here I am down here talking a fool.
You need Sanjay.
Super thankful for the Packers for, getting me less hair and more gray and
I was gonna say
over time. That's like great.
Since 2011, I think we've only had gray.
So super thankful for all that. Super thankful for you, Sanjay and Matt, and we got this show 4 years in. I just wanted to shout out my quick thanks to everybody and definitely all the people that listen. You guys are awesome, man. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thankful for all you guys. Honestly, thankful for Iowa Joe. Honestly, Iowa Joe has been
sometimes
instrumental this season, and I really appreciate his hard work and obviously always being there for us. Big shout out to all of you guys that do come in each and every week. It really does mean a lot to us because if we started just only seeing one person in the show, we'd probably start contemplating why are we doing this. So, but no, we love talking football. We love talking the Packers. And we love talking for you guys. So thank you so much for doing that for us. And we hope you have a really good special holiday, time with your family. Go get some Black Friday deals if you want to do that. Matt, I hope you kill it for your hosting. I hope we have a really great dinner for you guys. And Fred, I hope you have a really good dinner, or lunch, or whatever you're doing, So until then, that will do it for Fred and I, and we will see you next Tuesday. For hopefully a victory. That'll be a really long turnaround for this Packer game stuff because it's on Thursday. But either way, we'll give you guys the Packer stuff next week as well. So be well, be loved, and love everybody else. And as always, go Pack.
Go, baby.